Recording is on.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander Pajechev, and I'm giving a presentation on two things: the Dart programming language, and then the Flutter framework. So let me hit F5. Yeah, I just don't know how to do the start of the presentation. Okay, so let's begin with Dart. Dart is a client-optimized language for developing apps on any platform. It's type-safe, and as a safety feature, by default, the variables cannot be null. And since it's meant to uh, be able to compile it onto any platform, you can compile it to different platform and on number of ways. So it first started in 2013 with the first version, and it was originally envisioned as a uh, replacement for JavaScript. But it was dropped in favor of transpiling to JavaScript. And then in August of 2018, they created Dart 2.0, which added the type system. I'm going to quickly go over. And then in Dart 2.6, they added Dart Native, which is a compiler that allows you to compile it to native binaries. And it is now a ECMA standard. So the ECMA International formed Committee TC52 in order to standardize Dart, and the first version was approved July of 2014, and the second version was approved later that December. So there's three different ways to run Dart. First way is to compile it to JavaScript with the Dart 2.js compiler. Another way is in the Dart virtual machine, or you can compile it to native. And here's a quick overview of Hello World in Dart. So as you can see, I have to wrap it in a main function. And we have the print statement, and there's a semicolon at the end. Semicolons are mandatory in this language. So fortunately, variables mostly follow the C and Java conventions of type name equals value. But you also can use the var keyword instead of a type if you're not sure. And you can actually make the variable nullable by using the question mark operator in front of behind the type. And One odd thing about Dart is that if you try to set a variable later on and use the normal way, then you'll get back a compiler area. So in that case, you would use the late keyword before the type. And then finally, the final and constant are keywords that you can use for constant variables, with the difference between constants are defined at compile time, while final is um, done at runtime. And here's some of the variable types you can use. You have the standard int for integers, the doubles for uh, floating points. You have the string, also bool, and if you're familiar with what runes are, they do have runes. And next thing we have is lists. They're um, Dart's equivalents of arrays, and they only can support one type of value. And this is how you define it right here. A list. And you can definitely treat them as a array once you've defined them. Uh, and then another thing are sets. They're similar to lists, but they're unordered. Uh, and just like a list, they only take one type of value. And here's how you define it. Except one notable thing is that you use the set keyword and then use curly brackets instead of the um, other brackets that they have. And they do also have maps as well, where if you're not familiar with what a map is, it's like the normal key and value type data structure. And this is how you define a map. Functions, uh, they they're very similar to functions in uh, JavaScript, but it's also um, object-oriented and also functional. So you can pass functions like variables, and like I said before, you do have to have a main function to run in Dart since it's compiled. And just like most other languages, Dart supports if, else if, and then else statements. So here's an example. And for loops, there's multiple ways you can do that. First way is the C-like way, which you'll know if you're familiar with C. And then you also have for each in the list. And uh, then you can also loop through this way. like you would in JavaScript. And while loops, they're pretty self-explanatory. They also have do while loops. So the difference between a while loop and do while loop for the new programmers is the do while loops of evaluate your condition at the end instead of the beginning, which is what while loops do. So that's a subtle but important difference between these two. And we have switch statements. Uh, so there's nothing special there. Classes, uh, it does have classes, and it has a constructor function that is the name of the class, and the new keyword is uh, optional. And a neat feature which they've added is that you can reuse some code using a feature called mixin. Uh, so mixins allow you to reuse code uh, used by different classes that are related to each other but not exactly the same. And then this is how you add a mixin. And we have some packages that Dart gives you. Dart Core is the default package, and it's implicitly loaded, so you don't have to import that. Dart Async is the asynchronous package, which I believe we'll get to in a little bit. Dart Math is the math package, so power, absolute values, things like that. We have convert, which allows you to convert one format to another. Uh, and it has like a HTML for package for DOM and HTML5 APIs, so you can use code HTML in there. And then we have a IO package. So one quick thing I wanted to show before we're finished is that although Dart uses the async paradigm like JavaScript, for if you want to return a value, you have to wrap your return in the future class. So here's how you wrap your data type in a future class. Just change void to whatever class you actually want to use. So that's the end of Dart. Does anyone have any questions?
So what's the advantage of Dart supposed to be? Like over other languages, other common languages anyway?
So Dart is flexible in terms of uh, where you're going to put the run the code in. So you can transpile it to JavaScript. You can run in a VM, or you can compile it to a native binary. So that's why it's used in the Flutter framework.
Okay.
So, any other questions? All right.
Yeah, Alex, I thought you said you were going to get to the async package later. Is that part of the Flutter presentation?
Yeah, actually, I didn't make this clear enough, but it was part of the future class.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Thanks.
Yeah, because if you're familiar with JavaScript, so you should know how to use async and await. So does anyone know how can present this in full screen mode before I start?
I can't actually see your screen now, so I don't quite know.
What tool are you using?
I'm using Microsoft PowerPoint.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to share your full screen instead of just a window, or just a? I'm not quite sure what you're doing right now.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to share the full screen.
If you were sharing,
Yeah,
just
I can see my full screen.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, because I want to move on to the demo after this.
Okay.
Oh yeah, now yeah, can everyone see that now?
I cannot see your screen.
Okay, I see a screen.
Okay, I see it now. I clicked his icon. Yeah, I see it.
I see it too.
All right. Okay. All right, I'll get started then. So here's the second half of my presentation, and it's on Flutter. So let's get started. Flutter is a framework that allows you to build cross-platform applications for Android and iOS, but it has also been extended, so now you can make web and desktop apps. And it has been created by Google and released in May of 2017. Who's Flutter for? I realized that for people that for large companies, they can afford to have a separate teams that do iOS and Android separately, because that's ideal in terms of performance. However, for smaller companies or medium-sized companies, they may not have that luxury. So it's designed for small teams that don't have the budget or time or expertise to tackle all four areas with their small group. So there's like a few different things that combine together in order to make it work. The Dart platform, Flutter uses the Dart language by default, but I've heard you can now use Kotlin if you really want to. Flutter engine it uses Google's Skia graphics library to run all the widgets. They have a foundation library which provides the basic classes and functions used to create applications. And we have widgets, which I'm gonna cover in the next slide. So let's go there. So widgets. They're pretty much the building blocks of the Flutter framework, and which is something that I like about the Flutter framework, and that is they give you a bunch of preset widgets, and they let you do whatever you want with them, kind of like a Lego set where the widgets are the Lego pieces, and you can use the Lego pieces to build whatever you want. So we have text widgets, which is one example of a widget which is used to display text, and you can actually put widgets within widgets by making a widget your child or children, depending on the widget. And for uh, big widget pages, there's essentially two kinds: stateless and stateful. Stateless widgets are static, so they don't really change. Stateful widgets are tied to the state and will have to be re-rendered whenever you change the state. So when I said pretty much every element in the Flutter is a widget, I was not kidding. Even the app itself is a widget. And another side benefit is that you can uh, change attributes within the widgets, so you can use that to style them. And one thing that you do have to be aware of is that you can't do for loops directly in widget if you have a list of items you want to display. So what you do instead is use the list view widget, and that essentially builds your widget for you. So uh, so to define, here's an example of a list view widget, and then you have to use the um, builder for that. So here it is. And then for each of the items, you use item builder, and this is how you define each of your items, and you return a widget, so that one widget for each of your items. It'll all make sense once I get to the demo. So any questions? Okay, here's the demo app that I made. So I can quickly show you the My App extends stateless widget. So yeah, this is how you build it. It returns a material app. So don't bother you too much. So I'm going to run this in Chrome. Yeah, you'll have to give it a minute in order to load. Okay, there we go. So how it works is you click this blue button with the plus, add some text, and then click add here, and it makes a list. So let me add a few more items. And you can actually delete them by clicking the minus buttons. So that's how the demo app works. And I actually have it running on my personal phone. So yes, so let me show you uh, uh, what happens. So this pop-up widget, that's the pop-up that I get when I uh, click on the blue button. So title is here's an example of a text widget. Enter item to add, and then the text field. This is where I enter in my data, and then row is how to put the two buttons. This is the add button on that pop up. This is the cancel button, which all it does is take you out. And then I've add item defined up here, and yeah, that's how um it works. And one interesting thing you have to keep in mind is that if you want to change this state, you're gonna have to wrap your change in a function called the set state. This is how it works. And then remove item. I've done the same thing as well. So yeah, here's the main app center. Here's the list view, so you can see all the items. Uh, so, so within each item, I have a row of children where I list out each of the values, and then I have a text button which removes it, like, so you can see the remove function item right here. Remove item function right there. And then here's the floating action button that brings up the pop-up. And that's it. Any other questions?
Alex, is there a WYSIWYG IDE for this?
What?
Is there a WYSIWYG IDE for this language?
Oh, you mean what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
There is some sandboxes online which you can use, but other than that, I'm not familiar with any of them. I
Okay.
think you have like a few different options for your IDs. Android Studio is preferred on Windows. I know VS Code is a option as well.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Does anyone have any other questions?
No, I thought that was very informative.
Yeah. Thanks,
Okay.
Alex.